Yeah.
Welcome to the third episode of the Next Door Engineers to Heroes. With me, I've got Mr. Ajit Dhanankar, Mr.
Hi.
Sridhar, Mr. Anand Bhattacharya.
Hi.
Really.
Welcome to you all once again. I will take a minute or two to introduce each one of you, and then we will move on to the question and answer session. I'll start with Mr. Ajit Dhanankar. So Ajit Dhanankar is from the Detroit city of India, that is Pune. He is a mechanical engineer. He has got over 4 decades of experience in razor blade industries and in machineries. He's worked in companies like L&T, Videocon, ACG, and Supermax in positions like vice president, general manager, and other positions. He is having more than 4 years of experience in freelancing. He's been doing freelancing from the past 4 years, and he has got specialization in switchgear, toys, appliances, loudspeakers, shaving blades, and his specializations also includes design and development, value engineering, low cost automation, quality improvement, scrap control, and many others. Welcome, Mr. Ajit Dhanankar, once again to the third.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The next speaker of our session is Mr. Guru Sridhar. Mr. Guru Sridhar hails from the Silicon City of India, which is Bangalore. He is also a mechanical engineer and having 3.5 decades of experience in design, quality, and project management. He worked in various government organizations before stepping into the private industries, which are NGEF, BEML, BEL. He later started working in companies like Satyam, L&T, and his last assignment was in Moog, if I am not mistaken. He's been doing freelancing from last 7 years. He's got rich experience in domains like automotive, construction, mining equipments, aerospace, medical devices, and many others. He specializes in Six Sigma and many quality tools like APQP, PPAP, and certifications like TS 16949, ISO 9001, and he is also very good in new product development, design, auditing, consulting, inspection, and he also runs his own quality inspection firm, consultancy firm. Welcome to you, Mr. Guru Sridhar.
Thank you. Thank you, Rohith.
Our last speaker of this session, Mr. Anand Bhattacharya. He is from the city of Joy, which is Kolkata. He is a NIT grad, a metallurgical engineer. He is having over 30 years of experience in iron and steel industry. He has worked in India, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, in various steel factories. Steel Authority of India Limited was one of his companies where he spent a considerable amount of time. He also worked in Hospate Steel. He's been doing freelancing from last 3 years. He's experienced professional in operations and production of steel plants management, and he has also set up a lot of steel plants projects. He is involved in a lot of steel plant projects. He is now presently doing consultancy in steel plant commissioning, steel making and castings, project conceptualization and evaluation, cost reduction techniques. Welcome to you, Mr. Anand Bhattacharya.
Thank you very much, Rohit. Thank you.
We will now move to our next stage of this session, which are question and answers. I will start with Guru Sridhar. Uh, I whenever I talk to small and medium enterprises or large scale industries and advise them to hire freelancer for a lot of their activities, reduce their cost, but they often come up with answer or an excuse like freelancers are not professionals. I'm having a bad time working with them. All those things. How do you handle this criticism? I mean, you are also a freelancer working in this freelancing industry from 7 years. Do you see this criticism, the rightful criticism, or it is one apple spoils the entire bunch? Is it a situation like that?
No, I don't consider that as a criticism because there are various views from different managements. What I would like to put is that if you are able to call a spade, then people will appreciate you. So you cannot keep on beating around the bush and saying that you will improve everything in the world and everything is possible to be done. So in quality aspects, that is not possible. There should have a lead time. It should have a gestation period of couple of months and years to see the results. So most of maybe the consultants, they feel that they are able to achieve everything within a short period of time. So that is where it spoils the relationship between the consultant and the MSME owners or the hire people who hire. So you should be straightforward, tell them that it's possible or not possible, and if it is possible, what is possible and what is the time frame.
Basically, the expectations which are set in the beginning are incorrect in some cases. Maybe one of the reasons why this cliche around freelancing is been created. Is it correct?
Right. So if expectations are not set properly, then you will have this problem. So going forward, okay, they may tweak the results or tweak the requirements. That is okay. That is quite but natural. But even then, you should have the clear set goals and deliverables should be very clear as to what you will do. That has to be understood by both the parties.
I agree. I agree with you. Mr. Ananda, I have got a question, which is very close to my heart. Marketplaces. There are marketplaces starting from Amazons to Ubers to Swiggies of the world now. They have been doing tremendous jobs in hiring industries also in US and Europe. Marketplaces are doing a phenomenal job. What do you think? Will they change or shape up the future of the hiring industry?
Yeah, I mean, the entire process of hiring, the theory behind hiring, etc., is likely to see some modification in the future. Coming to um, this aspect of hiring permanent employees or keeping people on contracts or keeping people as freelance consultants, these three categories. I think in the present day scenario, freelance consultants have a big role to play. Number one, because their organizations have a lot of flexibility along with them. So they don't have to. I mean, in case of a permanent employee, you hire somebody, and if he's not as per your expectation or not really delivering, then it's really difficult to really live with him or her in that sense. But then, as far as freelancers are concerned, I mean, they are less of a liability for the organization, and I would say that yes, if the organization is clear um, about what it wants to extract from the freelancers, I mean, it can very easily go to the right freelancer and then get the work done at a much cheaper cost and maybe much faster, because freelancers are basically very focused people. So and without any distractions, they can work to deliver the results very easily in a streamlined manner. So coming to the role of these marketplaces, a lot of marketplaces are focusing on freelancers now. I mean, there are a lot of platforms for freelancers, and yes, they are playing a very important role. And freelancers do need a platform. Yes, um, so I think it's very important for these marketplaces to exist and then develop over a period of time according to requirement of the industry. And yes, future will be good for both the marketplace and the hiring process as well.
Yeah, that's a good sign from your side. Being an experienced person, you think marketplaces are going to benefit, are going to thrive. I definitely with you. Moving on to the next question, Ajit Dhankar, uh, uh, you know, the opportunities for freelancers mainly are coming from large, are not coming from large organizations. They are mostly from micro, small, and medium enterprises. I mean, is my understanding right in this? What do you think?
I would say that it's not completely right. See, there are reasons for both of them to engage consultants. The MSMEs will hire a consultant because they do not have in-house expertise for a particular job. So they cannot afford a full-time man for this type of a job. So they hire a consultant. Whereas a large organization would typically hire a consultant because they would like to because their in-house capacity is already booked with some other projects and they would like to take on some project which they can do by hiring a consultant instead of taking a permanent person. So the reasons for both of them are different, and I've had projects from both types of industries, MSMEs as well as larger projects. And it is not that larger companies do not hire consultants. Yes, they do hire consultants. That is mainly to augment their capacity for development or whatever task that they have given to the consultant. Whereas in case of an MSME, that is because they do not have in-house facilities, they hire consultants. So I think both of them do hire consultants, and the reasons for both of them are quite valid.
That's a interesting point. Mr. Guru Sridhar has spent a considerable amount of time in with MSMEs. What do you think about the same topic?
Yeah, I would like to second Mr. Ajit. So MSMEs will want to hire consultants because of lack of expertise what they have. But the problem with them is they are not able to afford and they are not able to sustain the consultancy for a long time because they want quick results. They expect everything to happen very fast because of the affordability. So that is one of the issues with MSMEs. Whereas in the larger companies, yes, they will hire consultants to get a third-party view of what is happening because we give an unbiased opinion or audit results about what is happening rather than the in-house team. So that is the reason why they call for consultants, and there is no hypocrisy. When we go as a freelancers, that hypocrisy is not there. So we will be as straightforward as possible, and that is what the companies would like to have. There are two sides,
Uh-huh.
two views. Both the views are there.
I agree. So Ajit, again, over to you. These employers' awareness level. Although some of the employers are tech-savvy employers are aware of these marketplaces or about freelancers. Some of them are totally unaware of these freelancers. Uh, uh, what do you think? Why this awareness? Why do they lack the awareness of hiring freelancers? Is it really awareness or negligence or the expectations, communications? What do you think
See,
about this?
up till now, freelancers wasn't a very in thing. So, I mean, if there was a requirement, people always used to think of either hiring people or not hiring people and shelve the project. This utilizing a freelancer for doing some projects is a recent trend, maybe over last 8, 10 years or so, I would say. So, still people have got to get used to it, and they're slowly getting used to it. So it's a newer trend basically. So the first thing that used to come to the minds of everybody is that okay, can I take on more people? Then some of the projects can't afford a permanent liability, so they used to sell the project. So nowadays, yes, this because freelancers available in every field with every type of experience and every type of price tag. I think things are improving.
But describing job, the employers often write jobs in one line. They want freelancers to, or anybody for that matter, to understand within that one line
Yeah.
and set a wrong example in this. What do you think?
No, that is true. But now what happens in the interest of the freelancer himself, they have to understand the job, elaborate it as much as possible, defining the milestones very clearly, and then put it back to them saying that, okay, is this what you want? And then the contract has to be framed around that rather than one line. See, it's very important because in many of the cases, or I would say in most of the cases, the payments are milestone based. So point number one is that the milestones have to be very clearly defined. And point number two, the mechanism of ensuring that the milestone is achieved has also got to be defined. Because later on at that point of time, whether it has happened or not, but you had said that so and so and all, ambiguities as far as possible should not be there. That is what the freelancer has to foresee as to where the ambiguities can be, put it down in black and white, sit with the management again and discuss, see, this is what I have understood is what you want, is this what you want, then we frame a contract around it. Because for them it is nothing. At the end of the day, they will say, no, this is not what we wanted. It is for the freelancer to make sure that to understand exactly what is wanted and put it down on paper.
Yes, it is. I agree. It is the responsibility of both freelancers and employers to describe the job well in advance before accepting on anything, even a payment term, milestone. That all comes at the later part after understanding the job. I totally with you. Moving on, Mr. Ananda, this the kind of jobs that are being awarded to freelancers. I in our website also, and I have seen in various websites, and I also have hired a lot of freelancers, but that will be mostly for development works. Revenue generating projects, people don't hire freelancers because they are quite risky, considering the fact that they unprofessional behavior, or could be some of the freelancers are working as a part-time freelancer because their full-time job will be something else, so the seriousness level will not be the same like a regular employee. So what kind of jobs are given out to freelancers? What is your take on this?
Well, as far as freelancers not being, not being as serious or as sincere as regular employees, as far as this point is concerned, I think there needs to be clarity on the, as Ajit said, on the milestones, etc. And what are the milestones to be achieved before the payment gets made, so that it's clear to the freelancer also what he is doing and which direction he is moving. Now, coming back to the point of what type of projects, I think basically what client organizations look for is value addition in their system. And when they go approach a consultant, they are really looking for some value. Now, this value could be in the form of some new product development or some new system development, production system development, and things like that. And this value could also be in the form of improving productivity. Now, everything in the industry is connected. Improving productivity is definitely a revenue generating activity. And when you go for a new product development, you are also in all likelihood resulting your activities resulting in more revenue, you getting more customers and things like that. So I don't think there is a very clear line between there. It's pretty no black and white, it's pretty gray there. And the free it depends on, as far as the consultant is concerned, I think it depends on what his strengths are in. If he is in strong in some areas of productivity development, he could be focusing only in that. And I'm sure if he can project himself well, explain himself well enough to the management of the organization, they are going to appreciate. I personally have worked in all types of roles of new products development in the industry, in the steel industry, and then also in improving production, then reduction of rejections. Everything comes and finally they merge together, development and revenue generation together. I think it's really a myth. I mean, it's probably some belief that has developed over a period of time. And as freelance consulting develops in India, I'm sure these things will slowly get cleared.
Thank you for that, Mr. Sridhar. You have, I I'm not comfortable asking you this question, but for the viewers, definitely I should and or the viewers should know about this. You have over 3.5 decades of experience, skilled in several aspects of engineering. You still feel that you have to upgrade your skills to be relevant in the freelancing industry. What do you think?
Yeah, I always try to do that because I keep on browsing some websites. If there are some interesting articles or some material, I'll try to download it and keep it in the archives so that I can form a library of things, and then I'll be using it whenever it's possible or whenever it is required. And also, as a matter of fact, with the latest technologies coming in of Industry 4.0, there are many skills which we have to update, which we don't know. As a matter of fact, I have taken a courses on blockchain to understand what is it before we start talking to the customers. So all that I've tried to do to upgrade myself. And I think it is required because nowadays the old skills are going off and new skills are being implemented. Even though we cannot start from scratch, we should have some knowledge about that before we start talking to the customers. That's what I feel.
So age is not a criteria for upgrading the skills. At whatever age, you have to keep upgrading the skills. I agree with you. What do you think, Ajit or Ananda? Do you have anything to add to Mr. Sridhar's point?
Basically, what he says is 100% correct. Now, I have been specifically in the field of product development. Where now, is it okay? Yeah. Basically, I agree with Sridhar. You have to keep on upgrading your skills irrespective of whatever is your age. Now, I have been specifically in the field of product development where I need to use a lot of softwares used for product design and development like AutoCAD and Solid Edge and SolidWorks and things like that. And these people come out with newer and newer features, newer and newer versions very frequently. So unless I keep myself updated with that, I may not be able to do my design work as efficiently or as fast as probably somebody who is updated himself. So it's necessary that you update yourself with the latest technology, with the latest information, with the latest trend, in case you have to be competitive in the market. Whether you are a freelancer or whether you are a professional, I think it applies to everybody.
Exactly. Ananda, in the age of digitization, what do you think? Having an online presence will help. And I see a lot of engineers coming from non-IT backgrounds don't believe in having or no, don't practice having an online presence. What do you think? What do should they do to get there?
Online presence is nowadays is very basic, and for a freelancer who is not working on a permanent role in any organization, I mean, it is inevitable. He has to do it. I mean, there's no point having great abilities and nobody knows about you. Now, people know you through your online presence. I mean, that's so important, and it's
Sorry,
not only.
what people might think if I say if I'm telling online presence is their Facebooks and Instagrams accounts. We should clarify them that this is not about having Facebook and Instagram accounts. This is something else, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. I mean, Facebook and Instagram to this day is more of a real social
Entertainment.
platform or social networking platform. But then we do have professional networking platforms as well, like LinkedIn, and there are many others. So when you are talking about your and I am of course talking about these which are really connected to your professional career as a freelance consultant. So it's very important that you involve that we freelancers involve ourselves in these platforms, and because these are basically being online is a it's a part of your sustenance activity. Otherwise, very soon you might be in a position where your market, your client base is not expanding. So it's very important that and another point is see, people will forget us. I mean, we should not expect that people will remember us even after the first meeting we have had with them or first engagement we had with them. People are engaged with different activities, and in all likelihood, they will not remember us. reminding them is a very important task. Every time they open some platform, they should be able to see you or see me doing something and something relevant. And so yes, and also when you have an online presence, you learn a lot. It's not that you are just advertising about yourself, marketing yourself. You learn a lot. There's so much of wealth of information available online. So that's also very important.
So,
And personally, I do write articles. I respond to messages immediately on LinkedIn. Anybody sends me a message, maybe I've never really communicated with that person, but then I do really reply immediately. I take it as seriously as any other work being a freelance consultant.
oh, that's a good takeaway. Mr. Dhanankar, what do you think about the payments? Because this is one of the pressing subjects. Often freelancers are not paid on time, or sometimes they don't get paid at all. So I was advocating on my social media channel the other day for the benefits of marketplaces for these kind of situations. So what do you feel about the current situation with respect to payments? I know this is a very uncomfortable question.
No, I'll tell you, it has nothing to do with the current situation. It has something to do with the culture of the organizations with whom you're working. Now, some organizations strictly follow the payment date, the payment time. You don't have to follow, they pay you. Of course, there may be very few. Many other organizations, a lot of follow up is required because of their internal lethargy. And some very few organizations do not have the intention of paying at all. There's nothing that you can do about it. Like you find good and bad people in society, you find good and bad organizations as far as payments is concerned. But I would say by and large, the possibility of not getting paid is very, very less. So we did not worry about it. It's a part of the game.
All right. Moving on, Mr. Sridhar, uh, 7 years of freelancing career. Would you like to share with us one best or worst experience? Which one do you like to share?
Yeah, one, I would say not worst experience, one experience which I think everybody
It is the user
should
to
have come across.
interpret whether it is the
So,
best or worst.
yeah, what I would like to say is the organizations or the companies, they expect freelancers to be wizards or Harry Potters and come with a magic wand to improve the things immediately. So that is their expectation, and that will not happen. As I told earlier, that is impossible. Especially being in the quality field, it is impossible to just wave a wand and see that everything, all metrics are improved. So, but we can't help it. That is the expectation from every company. That is a bad experience. So, good experience if you say yes. Some of the companies they understand the requirement, they understand, and they say that the team works along with the freelancers. So it is a team effort, and they should understand that it is their responsibility and onus lies with them to improve the things. It is not with freelancers who go there once a week or once in 15 days and they cannot turn around the company. We can only guide them as to what has been done, but real implementation online or on site has to be done by their team members. That realization has to come from within.
Is there any story, small tale you would like to share with us?
Yeah, there are a couple of instances, good and bad, as I told you, in couple of industries where I have gone, maybe small industries. Yes, they have taken a lot of efforts to put the things in place and things are improving. But it's not as a bigger scale, it is not immediate, it is a very slow process, but things are shaping up. There are instances. And there are also instances in, say, public sector or government organizations where I have worked as a freelancer. Then they don't care about anything. They just want some certification to be put on the wall. They are not bothered about what has to be done and what implementation has to be done, what metrics to follow. They are not bothered. They just want the certification or the activities to be done for the sake of it. There's no point in working with some companies.
A lot of industries, for the sake of getting the certificates, they employ. I know we don't want to get there.
Right.
Mr. Bhattacharya, you have been doing this consultancy services. Do you have any tips for one budding freelancers. I mean, when I say budding, that means young engineers like having 3 4 years of experience want to come to this freelancing world, stand on their own feet, be their own bosses. Do you have any tips for them, or for people who are maybe senior at the senior level, who have accomplished everything and now want to give back whatever they have learned? Do you have you got any tips or hacks or anything, any lessons learned?
No hacks. I mean, it's a long-term activity. I mean, you have to develop yourself. But then, yes, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is that someone who wants to go out and work alone as a freelance consultant with a lot of organizations, it's very important for him that he has a very high quality of professional relationship with all the people he has worked with. I mean, I would suggest things like because these are the people in all likelihood who are going to give him the first break in assignments. Okay, the people who you have worked with are the ones who can help you out. Now, people should remember you for being trustworthy, for being reliable, okay, for being very cooperative, collaborative, and things like that. And of course, honest and knowledgeable, highly knowledgeable. So these are the things that I believe people should remember you for people whom you have already worked with. So it's very important to have a very, very good professional relationship with anybody. And I would say that you meet somebody at the first instant, it might be a chance meeting, but then everybody, you should take every meeting uh, with I mean, very seriously and very honestly, so that that person remembers having met you sometime. It so happened with me, I had met a person in Indonesia, an Indonesian guy, for half an hour in the airport, and he gave me an assignment 2 years later. So I sometimes believe that because of the probably the quality of discussion we had at that time, he remembered me somehow. So that this is an important factor, very important factor to become before. I mean, one should develop, and this you can develop it over a period of time.
Not a
And then
overtime.
yes,
It's not a overtime thing.
oh, no, 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 yes, and then you have to build it into your culture. I mean, the second most important thing is improve your knowledge. Read, and read. There's so much of information very readily available nowadays on the internet. You have to just keep your this thing
Right.
knowledge base very high. And as you come into freelancing, you should be able to find out your niche. I mean, the area where you will perform the best. I mean, like either in cricket, you are either a batsman or a bowler or a great fielder or whatever. So you should be able to find out that particular area. So your growth will be very easy once you are able to figure out which is the area that is going to you are going to perform the best. And social media presence, as we already discussed, is very, very important these days. And then constantly upgrading your skills, analytical skills, presentation skills, newer things that Ajit and Sridhar talked about earlier about the newer softwares that are in your field. And then you have to be very conversant with the latest development.
So these are your 4 point formula: being professional, having digital presence. I did I miss the other two? Uh,
Finding your niche.
so yeah,
I would like to add something here,
yes, Mister. I was coming to you. Yes, Mister.
particularly for those young boys with 3 or 4 years of experience.
Can you,
Don't expect anything to happen overnight. Give yourself a period of at least 3 years before you can stand on your own. See, when you are in a job, for example, if you're switching over from a job to a freelance consultancy, in the job you are assured of your monthly salary. In case of freelance consultancy, you are not assured of your monthly salary. You have to make a provision for at least 3 years to live without any income before your regular income starts from freelancing. This is something very important. that these young boys have to keep in mind before they step into this. This is something that I would like to tell them.
Hearing them or you are advising them? I didn't get.
I'm advising them based on my experience.
I know.
Right.
I think what Ajit has mentioned is a critically important point that people need to keep in mind.
Yes, yes. Mr. Sridhar, any final words from you?
Final words I would like to say that should be as professional as possible and as straightforward as possible without expecting. Then naturally the customers will come back to you, and it's only by the word of mouth that the word will spread that if you are good. And of course, domain knowledge is a must. You should have the domain knowledge. And youngsters, I feel they should be some hand holding for them. Otherwise, they cannot stand on their own, because the customers, they'll appreciate or they'll value the experience and domain knowledge more before they start giving out the work. So experience really counts. So the more experience you are, always the better. So youngsters, yes, it's a long way for them to go, unless and until they are being handled by a senior. I would like to put it there.
Perfect. Gaining some experience before entering this world is utmost important. Those were golden words. Thank you so much, Sridhar. Thank you so much, Mr. Dhanankar, Mr. Bhattacharya, and Mr. Sridhar. This was a wonderful session.